Sex, death, love, secrets, and betrayal are the cornerstones of great TV drama. Betrayal, in particular, has a special place in that sort of thinking too, which is why we just keep coming on back for more. So I'm Gareth, this is What Culture, and here are the 10 most shocking betrayals in TV history. Number 10, Shae turns on Tyrion, Game of Thrones. Real, lasting romance in Game of Thrones was hard to come by, to say the least. It felt like every time someone had a real chance of a pure love, they either ended up dead, one or both of the lovers, or they were in some way related to the person they loved. Hell, sometimes they were related to them and had to kill them. The exception for a long time seemed to be Tyrion's love of Shae. Now sure, she was a prostitute, but she was far from the most morally corrupt person in the Seven Kingdoms, and Tyrion's love of her was authentic. Unfortunately though, their relationship was discovered. And because of its threat to the good Lannister name, Shae's life is threatened by Tywin, forcing Tyrion to send her away. It's heartbreaking, but the alternative is definitely worse. We're clearly not in Shae's eyes, because the next time we see her, she appears at Tyrion's trial and lies, twisting their romance to humiliate him. Ugh, the pain! Inevitably, her scorned testimony breaks Tyrion and he unravels, confirming his turn against his family. Doesn't end too well for Shae later on either. Number 9, Hank discovers Heisenberg, Breaking Bad. No matter how quote-unquote cool Walter White's transition into Heisenberg or how clever his manipulation of the criminal underworld to provide for his family was, there was always going to be serious collateral damage, wasn't there? Now, it probably cost him his mortal soul, and he definitely got Jesse Pinkman into a darker world than he would have himself. But those two price tags were considerably less painful to watch than what he did to poor Hank Schrader, man. The moment when Hank discovers that Walter is the criminal he's been seeking for years is actually a betrayal free-for-all. Because it starts when Hank learns that his brother-in-law and most trusted friend is Heisenberg. Then Jesse betrays Walt when he discovers that he poisoned Andrea's son Brock and goes to burn down his house. After that, Hank convinced Jesse to turn on Walter, almost betraying him to his ruin. And then when Hank is killed by the white supremacist gang, Walter rats out Jesse, tells Hank's killers to kill him too, and then tells him that he watched Jane die and did nothing. What the hell, man? It's like a crossroads of betrayal, all this. And it's hard to say which is worse. But Hank's line in Blood Money when he discovers the truth certainly adds weight to his being the most painful. It was you, all along. It was you son of a bitch. Heisenberg, you lying two-faced sack of sugar. Okay, I didn't say sugar. But yes, Hank being betrayed was the worst. Number 8, Stal kills her girlfriend, Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy has some seriously explosive moments, and Gemma's murder of Tara could have qualified here, if it wasn't for the fact that it was actually in response to a wrongly assumed act of betrayal in the first place. So Gemma is off the hook, just about, even though she was a despicable monster all the same. Now, the real worst betrayal in Sons of Anarchy comes in the 3rd season, when Agent Stal proved just how far she'd be willing to go to climb the ladder at the ATF. Having been demoted and removed from the IRA case in the wake of her murder of Edmund Hayes and framing of Gemma, she needed a scapegoat for Hayes' murder and settled on her own girlfriend, Agent Amy Tyler. The pair were lovers, they lived together, and Stal turned all of that on its head for the sake of protecting herself and her career. And have no doubt that she genuinely loved Tyler. Her love simply wasn't as strong as her evil though. Number 7, they were not on a break. Friends. Ross Geller is trash. Honestly, ask anyone. Yeah, he might be the character in Friends who grows the most, but he's also the easiest one to criticize in hindsight, because Ross' comedy value is rooted partly in the fact that he's not that much of a nice guy. Now, all the characters have flaws, sure, but Ross has a PhD in bad behavior. He dates one of his own students, he is awful about Joey being in love with Rachel, he's sexist at times about his son and about the very concept of male nannies, and worst of all, he pursues a woman for years romantically before cheating on her and then attempting to gaslight her to absolve himself of blame. Ross might claim that he and Rachel were on a break until he's blue in the face, but going out dancing and sleeping with someone else after an argument of your own creation and then trying to cover it up is a serious betrayal. And if it wasn't, he wouldn't have tried to cover it up as rapidly as he did, would he? I won't be there for you, Ross. Now, what do you think's the worst betrayal you've ever seen on television or in a movie? You let me know in the comments section down below. Number 6, Vic sells out Ronnie, the Shield. When your team is as riddled with corruption and bonded by lies and violence as the Shield's strike team, you just know that things can only hold together for so long before something starts to break. That much was clear when Shane murdered Lem, but we could have spotted that one coming a mile off. We were in fact supposed to. Vic and Ronnie, on the other hand, seemed pretty solid. Like that loaf of bread you forgot about in the freezer. They were best friends, and Ronnie was the most level-headed of the crew, though nobody should confuse that with him being a good man by any means. They were all monsters, and them getting their due was always likely. It was just the manner of it that stung, really. Having always been Vic's rock, Ronnie saw his loyalty repaid by his best friend's betrayal as he was thrown to the wolves. And it was only as he was hauled off by cops that he realized the true monster that Vic really was. Cheers for checking out this video of Betrayal today, my friends. Now hit that subscribe button down below and you're gonna get more fantastic What Culture videos in your life. You will not be betrayed, I promise. Number 5, The Red Wedding, Game of Thrones. Quite honestly, you could fill several lists with characters betraying each other in Game of Thrones. Such was the nature of the show that for a long time, the Great Game favored those who sought victory at any cost. You either won or you died, and usually at the hands of someone seeking to win, even if you were related to them or politically allied to them at the time. The finest example of the game in action, and also the cost of any character foolishly seeking true love over alliances made solely for power, which was exactly how you played the game, after all. Well, that came in the reigns of Castamere. Not merely one of the biggest shocks of the whole bloody show, the Red Wedding was also one of its most painful to view, as the Boltons and Frey set about staging the betrayal of the Starks with such theatricality that the ultimate moment, the sound of the Lannisters' theme music and Roose Bolton's message of regards, felt like the audience were being betrayed as much as Rob. Number 4, Wesley steals Connor, Angel. Up until the 3rd season of Angel, Wesley had often been a comedic figure used for levity, but then Angel got someone pregnant, despite the whole dead thing, and everything changed for Wesley. He became a lot more serious, but crucially, he also became a lot more interesting. And it also led to him making the fairly disastrous decision to betray Angel. Angel's son, Connor, obviously brings some joy for his father and the rest of the gang, who all dote on this miracle child. And then Wesley discovers a fake prophecy changed by time-shifting demon Sarjan, who Connor was destined to kill, stating that Angel will kill his son, which disturbs Wesley so much that he keeps it to himself and decides to kidnap Connor, as you do. That almost leads to his death. But worse, it condemns Connor to a hell dimension, which understandably upsets old Angel. Regardless of Wesley's intent or the good behind his actions, it's a betrayal that leads not only to Angel losing his son, but to Connor growing up in a harsh reality that asks him to fight for his life repeatedly as his kidnapper indoctrinated him against vampires and Angel. Nice one, Wesley. Number 3, Michael kills his own, Lost. Michael Dawson has to go through a lot during his time as an active character on Lost. He not only survives the trauma of a plane crash, but then sees his beloved son Walter kidnapped and removed from the island by the others. Then, when he thinks he's getting computer messages from Walt pointing to his location, Michael follows the directions only to be kidnapped himself by the group, and told to free their leader Ben and bring them Sawyer, Hurley, Kate and Jack. Unfortunately, freeing Ben isn't all that simple, and Michael is forced to tell Anna Lucia, who is guarding Ben, that he will kill her captive on her behalf, but then kills her when she hands over the gun. And as if that betrayal isn't shocking enough, he then kills Libby when she walks in on them, before taking the survivors to the others. What the flip? He may be driven by love and his desperation, but Michael's murder of 2 of his own and betrayal of 4 others is hugely shocking. Still, he probably didn't deserve to be cursed to eternal captivity on the island though. Number 2, Nina Meyers, 24. Espionage shows have a higher than normal chance of featuring some big-time double-crossing. I mean, it's in their genes. But 24 was on a whole other level, folks, taking Jack Bauer's closest and most trusted ally and former lover and revealing her to be a mole. A molly. Okay, I'll stop. Nina was so completely trusted and unquestionably solid that the turn was inconceivable and devastatingly effective. Towards the end of the 1st season, we learned that Nina is the 2nd mole at the CTU, having killed fellow rat Jamie Farrell and staged her suicide. In a moment, the known truth that Nina was always going to be there for Jack was flipped irretrievably on its axis. And to make matters worse, she killed his wife after being told to tie up any loose ends. Brutal. Now, she was far from the only mole, to the point that you do have to wonder about the CTU's recruitment process, but hers was by far the most devastating betrayal. And number 1, F. Olly, Game of Thrones. Nobody in their right mind will sit and tell you that young Olly didn't go through some seriously bad things in his short life. After the Free Folk attack the Gift, his parents are killed, his father by Ygritte, and then, as far as he knows, were eaten by Styr and his people. He then joins the Night's Watch, a miserable existence, and becomes Jon Snow's personal steward, which allows him to kill Ygritte eventually and avenge his father. That would be enough death in anyone's life, really, wouldn't it? But then Olly goes too damn far, joining the mutiny led by Alliser Thorne against Snow and leading Jon to his death by deceiving him into believing a wildling has information on Benjen's whereabouts. As if that part in the deception isn't enough, it's Olly who delivers the killing blow to his master through his heart, even as he begs for mercy. Honestly, just F that kid. All these years later, and I am still not okay.